Welcome back to the Forge Your Own Path Summit for Female CEOs. I'm your host, Janine Worth, trauma expert, helping female entrepreneurs to heal so that they can have the spectacular success they desire. So I have a very special guest joining us all the way from Canada today, Emily King, also known as the Money Godmother. She's a wealth and abundance coach and the founder of The Rich Woman. So since 2015, she's worked with hundreds of women to help them create a loving relationship with money so that they can massively increase their income and their impact. Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you, Janine. And I love your accent. You presented me so well with that little bio there. I love it. I'm like, let's just hit record and keep that for all time.
I'll send you the clip.
Yeah.
So before we get into the fascinating topic of money, I love talking about money. Please tell us a bit about your own entrepreneurial journey first.
Ooh, okay, good question. My own entrepreneurial journey. I hate saying this, but I kind of fell into it. And the reason why I hate saying it is because people are probably like, oh, shut up, you chose it. But it happened by accident in the sense of people talk about their sob story, like lost, broke, what have you. I had one of those lost, broke, didn't know what I was doing with my life kind of moments back in, at this point, 8 years. So probably 2011, I think this happened. And anyways, to make a long story short, I ended up finding a life coach. And back then, life coaching wasn't as out there as it is now. And I didn't even know what a life coach did. So I hired her and learned about this manifesting money mindset stuff. And I was like, And just to give a little brief backstory, ever since I was born, my family jokes that I still have the first dollar that I ever earned. And it was true for a long time. And literally, so my hair is naturally a reddish auburn color. And when I was a kid, my first entrepreneurial journey was I was at a family party with some family I hadn't seen in forever. And I literally went around, a great uncle of mine said he liked the color of my hair. And so I said, I'll sell you a piece for $1. So I literally went around the party and had long hair, down my bum. And I was cutting pieces of my hair and selling it for $1. So I always had this interest with money and business and all that kind of stuff. So all that to say, one thing led to another. And then before you know it, I was taking coaching training myself. I have a master's in business, so I do have that background, but it kind of combining the coaching, money mindset side of things, it all kind of came together over probably a period of 2-3 years of working it myself, getting really good at it, and then deciding, let me teach people how to do this. So that's why I say I kind of fell upon it. I never was I'm going to be a money mindset coach and here we go. It just kind of evolved over the years after getting such great results, and then just being let's do this. Let's show people how to make this magic happen. So yeah, that's my entrepreneurial story, I guess.
I love that. And in the last few months that I've gotten to know you better in that, I love the story that you told recently where coaching used to be your side hustle and your annual money goal.
Yeah.
This huge out there goal for you back then. You recently 10x that
yeah.
ever. And I loved when you told that story because it's just for me, it was that, wow, back then you probably would never have believed if someone had told you, you're going to take this so far, you're going to reach that. Tell us a bit about those early days and how your relationship with money has changed since then.
Yeah, so it's a great question because it's the relationship in a sense has stayed the same. And I'll kind of explain a little more in the sense of there's been this trust with money, but it's just the number has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as the years have gone on. So I say that to basically say to the people watching is that start from where you are and let yourself evolve with where you are. So to backtrack, in 2015, when I first started my business, to get to your story there is like, I was like, oh my God, I heard this manifesting tip that whatever you want to make, put it in as your passwords. So I was like, $6,000 would be amazing to make in my business for the year. Cause I already had my full-time job. So I was like, that's $500 a month. That would be phenomenal. So I put that in as my password. Last month, like you said, I 10x'd it for the month. So it was building that trust with like, I can make $500 a month, like, and working it backwards, like how many clients would that take? Okay, that would take, I forget what I was charging back then, but let's just say it was like 3 clients, you know? So it was like, that was my stretch. And I remember my coach at the time, I think I had a 3-month program that was $1,000 for the 3 months. That what, like, I thought I was a crook back then. I was like, I cannot charge people $1,000. I was going to make it 500. And my coach was like, no, you have to charge at least 1,000 for that program. And the cool thing is I was in this group coaching program, and on that call, when my coach was like, you have to charge $1,000, somebody on that call, a client of hers, actually Facebook messaged me and was like, I want to sign up for your program at $1,000. I was like, what? Like, and not like I was poaching her clients, but this woman just resonated with me for whatever reason and signed up to work with me. So it was like that trust, like, okay, I do have what it takes to be that coach that charges $1,000 for a 3-month package, right? And then it just evolved. Like I went from that to then 2,500 to 5,000 to 10K. It just keeps expanding. So in terms of the relationship with money, it's just that expansion, I guess, and that next level and that belief of I can do it, and then kind of getting the evidence and like, okay, if I have evidence of that and how quickly the universe came in with, all right, we got your back with $1,000, what else is possible? So I'm always stretching myself. Like even to this day, the work is never done. It's not, I've done this money mindset stuff, I'm good to go. If the work was done, I'd be a multi-billionaire, right? But I'm not a multi-billionaire because there's still more money mindset work to be done. It's just at a new level. So I hope that makes sense and answers your question.
Yes. And that's something that I want to talk about as well, is because I've often seen that with my own clients, once we've done all the therapy part and we're going to business coaching, that they think, as you say, that it's one-time work, but it's not. Let's talk about
You're pretty like, it's not.
Yeah, because even for coaches, I think that sometimes people think that coaches, you know, we do the work once and then we're set for life and then we teach other people. But even as coaches, that keeps on coming up and we keep having to evolve and sort of become this next best version of ourselves. Mm-hmm. How can people identify if they actually have money blocks?
Oh, we all got them. Like I said, if we didn't have them, we'd all be like literally like just rolling in stacks of cash, right? Because we would have, if we had literally zero resistance to money, we could like snap our fingers, the money would be there. Like if our belief was that strong. So how do we know if we have money blocks? Well,
or multiple money blocks, because that's something that I've noticed in my industry, is that usually there are a range of blocks that are working together. And I'm sure that you found with your clients that with money, it's the same thing. For example, something that comes up a lot in my industry is enoughness or being worthy of.
Yep.
But that's usually, it doesn't show up by itself.
Yeah. So here's what I like. Pretty much when I work with a new client in any capacity, like be it privately, group program, what have you, is one of the first things I get them to do is I call it an inventory of your thoughts. So I ask them for 24 hours, if they can do 40, well, anyone can do 48 hours, but if you have the commitment, I guess, to do 48 hours, is literally like set an alarm. Pretty much all of us these days have phones where we can set multiple alarms. So, and our phones are on us like 24/7. So the easiest way to do this is to set daily, like probably at least three times a day, if not more, alarms that go off, say in the morning, midday, evening. And when that alarm goes off, that's your check-in to say, okay, let me check in with that inventory of what has come up in my day and where have I felt any heaviness, any resistance, any lack feeling around my money. And every single time, and even, I mean, I do this exercise from time to time myself, because like I said, there's always more work to be done, is every single time, I've never had a client be like, oh, that was easy. It was exactly as I expected. This is exactly what I knew would come up. Every single time they're like, I did not realize I had that block. I did not realize that I, was saying that to myself or thought that. But it just is that conscious awareness that lets us see, okay, this is where I've been limiting myself. And there are some common money blocks that I can share with the audience here, just to kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak. So let's kind of talk about the lack mindset for a second. So there could be like, money doesn't grow on trees. A big one that used to be for me was, once I spend the money, it's so hard to make it back. Like it's gone forever. In the realm of money being icky, there might be beliefs of like, rich people are greedy, or rich people are stuck up, or rich people are too good for us. And then there are some blocks of like, I'll be judged if I have too much. My friends will leave me. What else might come up? I mean, I literally create a whole list of them for my clients to be like, here are the common money blocks. And I think the list is probably like 50, and I could have kept going.
One that I used to have is that I could make money, but I couldn't keep it, because in order to be seen as a good person, I would have to give it away to the people around me that needed it.
Yeah. So it's selfish to be rich in a sense, and also it's almost like it's spiritual to be poor.
Yes.
Right?
It's like if people around you, people close to you, are not doing that well, and you are, then you're sort of obligated to help them, kind of. There was a heavy sense of obligation involved, which didn't turn out so well for me. I've dealt with it now, and I'm glad to say that it's not an issue for me anymore. But when I actually realized that, and for me, the underlying sense of obligation that was connected to that, I realized how that childhood conditioning and everything played a part. It was quite an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. And even like, speaking of the childhood stuff, a great exercise for the people watching as well is to check in, like, what was your parents' relationship around money? Or like, some people have like their grandparents who take care of them. So what was your grandparents' relationship like? What were like people close to you? What was their relationship like? Because, and maybe any like pivotal moments in your life. Because I've had clients where, like, I can think of one client in particular who her father had a gambling addiction and gambled away all the family's money. And in the end, her parents divorced. So subconsciously, she created this belief of money breaks people apart. Money is bad. Money will only bring you problems. So it's better to have no money than to have it and then have all these problems. Right? So it's worthwhile to do that exploring, just literally just get out either a journal or a sheet of paper and a pen. And some people are concerned about privacy, so you can type it up on a Word document and delete it afterwards. But in some way, shape, or form, just get it out of here onto paper and bring that awareness of, okay, this is what's going on. This is my past with it. And I will say this is because sometimes it can almost feel like traumatic in the sense, like when you're rehashing this stuff and bringing it up, of like, oh my God, there's a lot of crap going on here. Like, but it's totally okay, because I like to say awareness is the key to changing anything. Yeah. So if people here do these exercises, just know, take that warm and cozy feeling of like, this is coming up for a reason. This awareness around these blocks, around these limitations is coming up for a reason, because part of me, and possibly the unconscious part of me, knows that I'm ready to release this so I can expand and create more in my life. So while some of this might feel heavy and not fun to explore, I'm going to trust and know that I have what it takes to work through this and overcome this, and that this is not my truth, and that I get to choose a different reality now.
I love that. I always say to my clients that you can't change what you're not willing to admit.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think that that's almost a very similar concept of, it's you need to at some point address that elephant in the room if you
Mm-hmm.
forward kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So in my case, like I've done this work for years. And so I get excited when I come up against the blocks. And ladies watching, like if you have some sort of support system in your life, be it a good friend or a biz bestie or a coach or a mastermind or whatever, like lean on them for help. Like you don't have to do it yourself. So when you come up with this awareness, like I get excited because I know, getting back to what I said a second ago, I know that this is coming up for a reason. So I know that my energy, so to speak, is ready to clear this. So I'm like, woohoo, I had this block of like a recent one that came up for me is people won't like me. Because, I've been having a lot of this growth in my business. And now all of a sudden the ego has come in with like, people are going to go on a witch hunt for you. Like they're going to be out to get you. Like, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like that is the most ridiculous beliefs. But that's what my ego was coming up with. So I'm excited because I'm like, cool. Like, I can acknowledge this and just be like, this shit is not true. Like it's not true. So I'm not going to believe it and I'm going to move on. And I didn't feel the need to reach out to my coach or peers or anything because it was just like, it was done. But if you're watching and you do need that support, reach out. Like people are happy to help you. And it's like I said, it's coming up for a reason to be healed and to be shifted.
Yeah, no, I love that. So let's talk about some of the myths and misconceptions people have about wealth.
Yeah. Where do we begin?
I feel like we could talk about this for days.
Yeah. Actually, I will mention this. A great book, speaking of misconceptions about wealth, one that really woke me up. And pretty much every page I was like, yeah, that's right. And yeah, oh my God, that's so, like every page I was like, that's so good. It's a book called How Rich People Think by Steve Siebold. Have you read that book?
No, I haven't.
Ooh, it's really, I think it's like 100 I'll call them chapters. Maybe it's better to call them like 100 thoughts, if you will, because it's literally like either a page or two on each way that rich people think versus, I forget what he calls, he doesn't call them like poor people or like, there's a word, but basically like the average way of thinking and then how rich people think. And it's really eye-opening of the differences in how these people think. Here's what I will say. Because I mean, we could spend hours talking about the whole wealthy consciousness and that kind of stuff. Well, I will say, read that book, pick up that book. It's great. It's an easy read. And it's brilliant. But what I will say is what I've noticed is that, well, there's two things I want to say. One is that a wealth consciousness is focused on solutions versus problems. So when people come to me who are stuck financially, who want to grow, what have you, all that stuff, is when we kind of clear through the clutter, what I often find is there's this underlying belief of I can never get ahead. One step forward, two steps back. Like the universe is always out to get me. Just as I get ahead, a bill comes up or whatever. And so there's almost this feeling like the world is against you kind of thing. And it's very it's almost like putting out fires every other day versus perhaps this is why I teach this stuff, is because naturally I've noticed that I have this great ability to be solution oriented. So I'll give you an example. When I was building my first home, things happened as they do when you're in construction. And like some major things happened. Like we poured the foundation for the garage. I went there a few days later to discover the whole garage floor had collapsed in because the frost wasn't done thawing for the winter. That was fun. But I always trust that there's more to support me. So I forget what the cost was, but let's say it was $5,000, $6,000 to have the now crumbled in concrete removed and re-poured. I always trusted of like, okay, this sucks. Like acknowledge the suckiness. Yeah. Very technical term. But acknowledge it, but then be in the solution of it of like, okay, well, let's get this done. And I know that the money is there to support me. I know all is going to be well. And in my case, I had this property as an investment that I had in the intentions of selling it. and everything worked out. And to give another like real quick story, that same house, I had a realtor hired to sell it. The realtor calls me about 4 or 5 days in and says, hey, the company that I'm working with went under. They got in trouble with the tax man. So he says, our contract essentially is null and void. And I was like, shit, like, oh my God. Anyways, but stayed solution oriented. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to sell this puppy myself. I put it up on a website here. It's called Kijiji, where like people just sell stuff themselves. Anyways, long story short, a couple who had seen the house previously with the realtor found my ad, reached out to me, and within that same week, I ended up being able to sell it privately myself and save all the realtor fees, which in Canada is like 5-6%. And this was like a $500,000 home. So staying solution oriented allowed me to see the possibility versus focusing on the bad that was happening, right? And so yeah, that's one thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say about wealth consciousness, and I'll paraphrase, and I think it comes from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where he essentially says, poor people are slow to make up their minds and quick to change it. Rich people are quick to make up their minds and slow to change it. Yeah. And I really believe that. And I know from experience when I've been like, this is what I want, I'm being decisive about it, I trust in it, yes. And then not being like, oh, maybe I should have done that, or should I have done this, or maybe I should stop that, like all over the place. That's when we get into the poor mentality and we distract ourselves and we stay small. If we are decisive and go in it for the long game, like the long haul, like this is what I'm doing, it's a much more wealth conscious space to be in versus all over the place and slow to make up your mind and all that fun stuff.
No, I love that. So let's talk about manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a topic that you really love.
Yeah.
What are some of the myths that you see all the time that women have when it comes to manifesting money?
Oh, okay. One, right off the bat, is thinking that let's just think about it, pray about it, look at our vision board for long enough and it'll happen without taking any action. So they're
sitting in front of the vision board for hours.
Right, just like
aggressively staring at it.
Yeah, ooh, I really want that. Yeah, okay, you really want it, but ain't gonna happen unless you do something about it. Secondly, I will say, I call it, because manifesting has become like this catchy little thing to say now, like I'm going to manifest that or whatever. And it almost has gone to the opposite side of like, okay, before it was like empowering, like this is going to happen. And now it becomes like a cop out. Like I'm going to manifest it. And then we're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But like, I'm saying I'm going to manifest it. So let's just cross our fingers and hope. So, and are we allowed to curse? Like, cause I'm about to curse. Not a.
You go. Just be yourself. Give us the full force, Emily.
Right. So I like to say, mindset without action is bullshit. That's my saying. Yeah. And so, with this whole manifesting thing, yes, it's good to think about it and all that great stuff, but we have to show up and take the action. So. I love vision boards, though. Don't get me wrong. I love vision boards. I love a good mantra. I love all that stuff. But I'll give you an example. So on my vision board, and I point that way because mine is on my wall right there. A few years ago, when I was still working a part-time job, I was actually working for my father in construction, and which is an odd combo. But anyhow, I had on my vision board this world-famous hotel that I really wanted to stay at, but it's $2,000 a night to stay there, and you have to stay there for 2 nights minimum. So you're $4,000 to stay 2 nights at a hotel. Mm-hmm. So it's outrageous, right? To like, you know, generally speaking, it's outrageous. But I really wanted to stay there, and so I put it on my vision board. And one morning I get up and I'm sitting. That's my meditation chair there. I'm sitting on my meditation chair. And this vision board happens to catch my eye, and I see this hotel that I had put on my vision board, and I said, yeah, I really want to manifest that. Anyway, so I go into work that day, And lo and behold, I get a call from this hotel. They were looking for parts for their building, and we happened to sell the parts because we were in construction. And so if I had not brought that to my awareness of this is what I desire. So to back up for one, just to kind of go on a tangent for a second, ladies and gentlemen, ask for what you want. Because if you don't ask, you'll never be in the opportunity to receive it. So in my case, I thought it was outrageous to ask for this hotel because I'm not going to spend $2,000 a night to stay at a hotel. That's ludicrous. At least that's where I was. So I go into work. This hotel happens to call the work I was at that day looking for parts. It happened to come in at around $4,000 of parts they were looking for. So I kindly asked my boss, i.e. my father, I said, hey, instead of like a bonus, like a financial bonus, how about I offer them these parts for free, and in exchange, they give us a gift card for their hotel, and that'll be like my bonus at this job. And he's like, sure, I don't care. Like, go for it. So I'm like elated here. And long story short, I go back to them. I propose this option and they're happy to go for it. They're like, sure. So that summer I got to experience this world-class, world-renowned hotel, like in just hanging out with like David Letterman's stayed there, like Gwyneth Paltrow, like famous people have gone there. And I'm just like chilling there, like, oh yeah, no big deal. You know, $2,000 a night, it's all good. And then like plus taxes and stuff. So it's close to like, you know, $4,500 to stay there for a weekend. So that's my experience with, you know, some manifesting stuff. But to backtrack, I will say this, I call it the reverse manifesting process. So what I mean by reverse manifesting is when we're in the, I really want it, I really want it, I really want it, I really want it, we are in the wanting. And the original definition, if you will, of to want means to lack, means that we don't have it. So if we're always saying, I really want it, we're saying, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it, which is fine. But when we want to manifest something, as I'm sure you know, we have to be in the energy of already having it, which can seem weird and twisted and complicated when we're like, I don't have $1 million sitting in my bank account. But we can use this powerful thing called our imagination. So a little practical tool that I like to teach people to kind of overcome, like I almost see it as like this wall in our brain that's like, nope, that can't happen, never going to happen. And we're almost like, okay, I got a back door, I can go around here, is what I call the imagine if game. So we just play with it. We're like, I'm not saying I got it. I'm just saying, imagine if I stayed at that hotel. Imagine if I got to wake up to that beautiful ocean view. Imagine if I got to dine at that world-renowned restaurant. Imagine if, how would that feel? What would that feel like? Getting into that zone of it. And what it does is it kind of tricks your brain into like, oh, this is happening. This is kind of fun. This is really cool. And that's why I call it reverse manifesting, because we're starting from that place of, I already have this. This is really cool. I'm already feeling it. I'm driving with it. And then from there, what happens is similar to what I just explained. Like the opportunities then arise to manifest that thing. But we have to claim it, ask for it, because in that case with the hotel, if I hadn't even asked for it, what would have happened is I would have got that call. I would have sold them the parts, invoiced them, and it would have been, you know, the end of the story.
Yes.
But because I asked for that experience, when it came into my reality, that phone call, it was just like the light, it was like, oh, this is the alignment here where I can take action on it. So it is that combo of the envisioning, all that good stuff, but the acting on it. So who is it? I think some author out there, somebody says that we're essentially like, you know, through the imagination and the envisioning, we kind of make it that possibility, but the action is how we receive it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I love that because, you know, that I advocate action taking, and that's something that I consider one of my gifts. And how I do it when I always set my goals, especially at the beginning of the year, halfway through the year, and then every quarter. And it's very similar to what you do, but I do it from, wouldn't it be nice if?
Yeah.
Just going like, wouldn't it be nice if this happened, or if I went there, or if I, did this interview or that podcast, and just go from there, and to allow to sort of open up that creative flow to see what comes up. Oh, wouldn't it
Yeah.
be that or that? And I find that helps me to sort of expand the vision or the ideas a bit, because I think that people can get too sort of, we don't see all the possibilities, or we can maybe limit ourselves because we don't dare to go beyond that what we think is we're capable of by ourselves.
Yeah. So there's two things I want to add to that, because as you're saying that, like, wouldn't it be nice if, and to backtrack to one of your earlier questions of like, how do we kind of essentially expose the blocks? They'll come up when you ask questions like that. Like, wouldn't it be nice if I was on this podcast, or I got interviewed by so-and-so? So we'll do it. We'll go there. And then sometimes what happens is, like, either like seconds later, or maybe hours later, or days later, what have you, the ego is like, that's never going to happen, woman. You can't do that. Right? Like, why would they ever want to interview you? Or like, you can't charge that, or no one's going to sign up for that. So that's where these things get exposed, but they won't get exposed unless we threaten them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. 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 So we have to, so I like to say this to my clients, like, don't get discouraged, I'll say. If you set a goal here, and to the logical mind, it seems crazy. Of course, it's going to seem crazy because you've never achieved it before. So our job is not to then lower the goal to match our beliefs. Like, if this is where our beliefs are, we're not like, oh, well, this is as much as I think I can charge, or however many people I believe will buy this thing or show up or whatever. So I'm going to set my goal there. Our job is to go, this is what I really desire. And any of that internal chatter that goes on, that's where the work is, to go, okay, let me examine this a little closer and see what's going on here. And let me change my beliefs to rise up and meet my goal, versus lowering my goal to meet my limiting beliefs. That's where the work is. That's where the magic happens.
Simple, but not easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what, in your opinion, are some essential practices or behaviors that we need to incorporate in our daily lives to create more financial abundance?
I would say right off the bat, and some people might like want to punch me for this one, but that's okay, is to meditate. And why I say some people might want to punch me is because most people don't want to meditate because they think of it as a waste of time. They think that they can't do it right, what have you. But what I will say from experience is taking that time to center myself and just like hear my inner voice, I'll call it, has grown as my business has grown. So what I mean by that is, like, I'm more centered now than I ever have been. And I think it's no coincidence that I'm more centered, more committed to my meditation and journaling than I've ever been. And I think it's no coincidence that my business has now risen or grown as well. And so and they'll get with this summit, they will get a meditation from me. So that's a great place to start. And what I will say to that is just start from where you are with meditation. Like, I like to use the analogy of like working out in the same relation to meditating. Like, most people are like, I can't meditate. I'm bad at meditating. Of course you're bad at meditating. You've never done it before. Just like if you've never stepped foot in a gym before or worked out, you're not going to be like, oh, I can't work out. I suck. Like, look at these wimpy little muscles on me. I can't do that. Well, of course you can't do it now because you've never stepped foot in the gym, but show up to the gym and go there for long enough and you'll get stronger. So same thing with meditating. Like if you go to the gym, first day, you're probably going to suck. First week, you're still probably going to suck. Maybe first month, you're going to suck, right? But being okay with that journey is key. And just kind of honing on like, why am I doing this? And I'm okay with being shitty at this for a little bit. And it's more about just my commitment to this. And you'll find little glimpses in the beginning of like, ooh, I had a little moment of like peace in my mind. And like, and And same thing with the gym. You're not going to go to the gym and show up and do 2 hours of running on your first day. So same thing with meditating. Like, you're not going to show up and sit there for an hour and meditate. Like, let yourself just do it for a minute to start, if that's where you are. Like, let yourself just be where you are with it. But I would say a big tool that I use, and it's like my not so secret with my business, is meditating, because it does center me. It gives me inspired ideas. And along with meditating as a daily tool is I have what I call like my affirmation integration period, where some of you out here watching may already have some powerful affirmations that you have or you've written down at some point. That's all fine and dandy, but we need to take it to that next level. So I put on pump up music. And maybe if you got a family or whatever, you can't do this, maybe just like say it in your mind and close your eyes and do it that way. But my husband goes off to work. I don't have any kids, so I'm good to like shout it, scare the neighbors, all that good stuff. So I will literally stand in my bathroom, because that's where I got a nice big mirror, and I will put on this pump up music, and I will actually, I got them right here. I'll say my affirmations over and over and over again for probably about 4 minutes, and it pumps me up. So I will be like, I'll say stuff like, clients love to work with me. Clients love to pay me. My energy is so magnetic. Money comes to me in avalanches of abundance. I am so wealthy. I am a millionaire. I have such a blessed life. I'm so grateful. So I'll just be like reciting these things, just like giving her. And it feels so good, and it shifts my state, and it just sets me up for a great day. So there's a couple little things.
Now that we're talking about state and energy and that, let's talk about alignment, because this seems to be a term, it's like the trendy word for the year. Everyone's talking about alignment, not being aligned or resonating, or what's your take on that, and especially with regards to manifestation?
I'm glad you asked that, because I actually meant to bring it up when we talked about manifesting earlier, but I got sidetracked and forgot. I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was like, I feel like, two things. One, she was saying she didn't feel like she was fully aligned, so she couldn't go do the thing she wanted to do. And the second thing, which kind of goes off in a little bit of a tangent, so I'll come back to it, is she felt that if she did, so in her case, she was living at home with her parents. She wasn't making any money in her business. And she was like, I can't go get a job or a part-time job, because that's going to mean that I don't believe in my business. And it was just like, no, woman, that means you are going to make some money so you can get out of the house and build your business. But I digress. Anyhow, back to this alignment thing. I find that this whole notion of alignment is one of the sneakiest ways that the ego keeps us stuck. Because here's what happens. Well, I'm all about alignment. I love alignment. I love feeling aligned. I love feeling in flow. I love feeling connected. I love all that stuff. It's one of like my top core desired feelings is flow. Like, it's up there. But I will not use the excuse of I don't feel aligned to hold me back from taking action. Because I've been there, gotten like a dozen t-shirts of the I don't feel aligned, so I can't do this yet. And why I say it's the ego's sneakiest way is because this is what happens. And actually, I'll tell you, I had $20,000 project that I sat on for a year until I felt aligned. And when I finally did launch it, it made me $20,000. So I had this idea for this program I wanted to launch. Things didn't feel aligned, right? I wanted to tweak this, tweak that, wait till this was done, wait till that was done. So I sat on it for a year, not doing shit all with it. And what was going on, the ego was like, yeah, you don't feel aligned. You should change that thing. Or maybe that won't resonate with your ideal client. Maybe let's do a little more work on the ideal client thing, so we make sure we're really aligned with that. And maybe let's check in on what value do you really offer, Emily? Let's get aligned around that. So it'll give you like, do this, do that, align with this, align with that. And that's okay. Like, I'm doing a little bit of the alignment, checking in, but I'm still showing up and asking for a sale, right? Asking for a client. So I'm still taking action. So there's a time and place to do that inner work. But if you're like weeks, months doing that inner work, then we got a problem. Then we know that the ego is like, it's like the sheep. What is it? The wolf in sheep's clothing. That's the kind of thing. Like, it's like the ego's like, haha, I have her in the alignment trap. And so that's when we got to get real with ourselves and say, like, do I give myself permission just to do this imperfectly? And I love Laura Belgray, who owns Talking Shrimp. She's a copywriter. She has a course with Marie Forleo, so some people might know her through that. I was listening to a podcast one time where she was interviewed, and one of the best things I took from it that really helps me out in my business was she said, give it your B- effort. And as soon as I heard that, it was just like that weight of perfection and alignment and all that kind of stuff was just lifted. And it was like, if I just check in, like, is this a B-? I'm like, yeah, that's B-. I'm like, okay, well, hit post or send that email or do that program. And I'll tell you, like 97% of the time, it goes really well. The rare case, it's like, okay, that was a bit of a miss. But most of the time, it's like spot on. And somebody will reach out and say, that was great. So happy to hear from you on that. Or I'm so excited about whatever. I'm like, perfect. So all that to say, let's not get stuck behind the alignment thing. And as that random side note, like I was saying with this woman I was talking to, let's not think that it's misalignment if you go do something else to bring in money, funds to support you as you build your business. There's no shame in that. Like I did that as I was building my business, and it was the best thing ever. It was amazing that I could have this job that supported me financially while I grew my business. It didn't mean that I didn't believe in myself or my abundance or whatever. It just meant it was the path of least resistance for me to make money while I was growing.
Yes. No, I love that, because a lot of people think that it's this black and white, either you're in fully or you're not kind of thing, instead of seeing it as sort of a process. And my process might look different to your process and to the next person, and that's completely okay. This sort of comparison thing, I find that sort of puts people off, because they think just because it worked for Emily like that, it means I have to do it exactly like that. And each of us have our own path, and the lessons that you need to learn are maybe completely different to the lessons that I need to learn. So we each get our way to the end destination, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I know a friend of mine, she lives over in the UK, and she went like cold, like cut her 9-to-5, went all in on her coaching business. But that's how it worked best for her, because she knew that she needed that full all in to properly do it. Me, that would be too much for me.
Yeah. No, I did that as well with my corporate job. I just made the decision, but that's how I make most of my decisions. So, and I mean, just because I do it like that, it doesn't mean that everyone has to, you know. There's so many factors that play into that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is the best business advice that you've ever received?
Ooh, received. What is the best business advice? I want to say it's that B- thing. Okay. Really, like, there's kind of two. And I'm trying to think, did somebody actually say this to me? Or it was like unspoken words, I guess, essentially. Was the best thing that I ever did, which probably was unspoken, but kind of implied by my coaches, was just start before you feel ready. Because if I had waited to start until I felt ready, I'd still be sitting on the sidelines. Like everything I've done in my business, from coaching my first client, from hosting my first workshop, from hosting my first international retreat, all that I took the jump before I felt ready. And the ego, fear was like, are you crazy? You can't do that. You're going to screw that up. Blah, blah, blah. That's going to be a failure. And it's just taking that leap before you feel ready. So that's the best thing that I've ever done. And the best thing I could tell people is just start before you feel ready, because you always are ready. And even if it is a so-called like flop, like I don't truly believe in failure. I just believe in feedback. Yeah. So start before you feel ready. And then the most recent one is the one I just shared, is like give it the B- effort. Like let that be enough, because it's like so many ideas, brilliant ideas. And blog posts and programs and what have you, like live and die up here without ever seeing the light of day because of this A+ standard we've set for ourselves. So give it your B- effort, and I'm telling you, you'll reap the benefits of that B- effort.
Perfect. So if you could do it all over again, what would you change about the first 6 months of starting your business?
Ooh, I would. Ooh, I've never been asked that before. I would. First thing that comes to mind is I would dive more into building my audience using paid methods. I was very much on the organic referral train, which is good. It's served me well. I had a woman say to me one time, she calls it prayer marketing, which I loved. I was like, yeah, it kind of was prayer marketing. But I think if I had my time back, I would have decided, especially back then when you like, where I still had money coming in from my 9 to 5, like I had and there wasn't as many clients and things on my plate, so to speak. So with that kind of time freedom and financial freedom, having like my 9 to 5 taking care of that, I think I would have given myself permission to dive more into stuff like Facebook ads and funnels.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, which actually kind of surprises me as my answer.
Give us a quick rundown of your morning routine.
Okay, so I was actually saying this to a friend of mine just this morning, and he was like, what? You take that long? I take forever in the morning. And I love it though. I get up between 7 and 8, I get up and I take like I will meditate. Unfortunately, I need to get out of this. I will check the social medias. I will do that. That's one thing I do want to axe. So I'll meditate. I will journal. And now that it's summer, I'll eat my breakfast outside, just taking in the fresh air. I'll putter, it takes me like 2 hours, which I know most people don't have, but like, if I'm being honest, like I'm a good like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 10. And then like I'm dressed, ready to go. I'm like, all right, now let's dive into the day. So that's what I do.
Okay. And do you think it's important to do mindset work every day? Some form, either meditation or journaling or hypnosis or whatever.
Yeah. And kind of getting back to the example of like, even if it's just 1 minute for like, say, meditating, right? Something is better than like nothing. So I've experimented. Like I went away last year to a wedding in California. And so I was gone for almost 2 weeks, and I got out of my routine and I found that I did feel very off. I guess I'll say it just felt, very off. Like I didn't feel like I had a sense of like groundedness and that kind of stuff. And so I would say if you're, I don't want to say if you're serious about growth, because I don't want to put that much pressure on people, but I would just say that it does really help when you do some sort of mindset work every single day. And listen, if you're only doing it once a week, then maybe up it to 2 times a week. Like start from where you are and grow. Because I mean, I didn't start off doing every single day. Like I've grown to this. But at this point in my life, if I do, like there'll be a day here or there that I might miss, but pretty much daily, I check in with something, some sort of mindset work, be it tapping, meditating, journaling, and you're like hypnosis. I've never actually done hypnosis. But yes, even reading a book, right? Reading an inspiring book, that'll get me, motivated and going. I'll do something every single day to shift my mindset.
Yeah. So you very kindly decided to give our viewers a free gift. Let's start off with talking about that before we move into the bonus.
Yeah. So my abundance meditation. If I do say so myself, my meditations are great. And I create so many of them because my clients over the years have been like, I love your meditations, like give me more. So I have. So I decided to give my audience, everyone, at least a free meditation, which in this case is the abundance meditation. So you can go and download that, and it's 10 minutes and I guide you through a lot of it. So if you're new to meditating, it's great for beginners. It's great for if you've been doing it for years, wherever you are. So have a listen to that. I love it. I've gotten lots of great feedback from it, being like, oh man, that really worked. Like, it helps get you in a great headspace to receive abundance. So that's the freebie they're getting.
Yes. And then the viewers that actually buy the summit, you have very kindly decided to give them a bonus. Let's talk about that.
So about a year or so, maybe it wasn't that long ago, but I did teach at one point in a paid program, the 6 steps on how to manifest money in 24 hours. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of great results, and it's very tactical, tangible, whatever you want to call it, of like do these things, not just like, let's sit and look at it and wish it. Like, it's like, let's take some action. So and it does do a bit of both. It does the energy side of things, and it does the practical side of things. So do that, like take that course, whatever you want to call it, workshop, and implement it, ladies. And it's going to be fun. You're going to find that you have some amazing results. And like, I've had clients manifest trips, cash, obviously. I mean, it could be like, quote unquote, like small, maybe like $100 to thousands. Like, it's a lot of fun. So they're going to enjoy it. And I love it myself. And actually, I opened up that workshop the other day to go through it myself again. I'm like, all right, let's get this manifesting mojo going again. Let's do this. So I don't teach anything that I don't do myself. And even at the different levels that we grow, the stuff still stays the same. It's just at that next level. So that's what I'm doing. It seems to be working well for me. So that's what you're getting, ladies.
So that sounds wonderful. And I'm sure that lots of people are going to be interested in getting their hands on that. So you have a Facebook group. Tell us a bit about that.
So I have a membership. It is called, it's just the Rich Woman Inner Circle. And by the time this summit comes out, the doors will be open. So it's a really high vibing place where we're rich women looking to keep getting more rich. And we do, just this morning I was doing intuitive readings in there. So just as a side note, like, my background is actually, I do have some, I used to do energy healing. So I do bring that into it. So we do intuitive readings once a month. We do live coaching. We do workshops in there. Sometimes we have guest speakers come in, and we have like a great Facebook group that's really engaged, really supportive. So I love it, and it's just growing and growing and just getting more and more amazing. And it really, like, I know some people are like, oh, my group is so good, but like, really, this group is amazing. So yeah, so that's my inner circle group.
Perfect. And we'll put the link below this video, so please do go check that out. So if viewers are watching this and they want to contact you because they want to work with you, what's the best way to do that?
I would say book in a call. If you go to my website, therichwoman.ca, there's a link there called VIP coaching, and there's a button there that says something along the lines of like, let's chat or something. I don't know. Just click on that and like book in a call with me, and let's go from there. And really, like, I have anything ranging from like $1,000 all the way up to $10,000 at this point in my business. So really, there's options for anyone wherever you are in your business. So I would say, yeah, just reach out and let's chat, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. So to end off, what is one book, in your opinion, if you could only choose one, that you would say every single female entrepreneur has to read? What would that be?
It might be a bit of a bias because I'm reading it now. I'm rereading it now. But have you read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert?
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe that as entrepreneurs, no matter what you do, there is this notion of there's this element of creativity to what we do, and like showing up in some way, shape, or form and giving content, what have you, to the world. And so I love Big Magic because she's so real about it. And I just love that book. It just really helped me take off the pressure around showing up in my business. And I can't even put it, like, clearly I'm stumbling. I can't even put it into words, but I love that book. I would say if you haven't read it, go out and get it, ladies. It's amazing. So Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm rereading it now for the second time because I love it so much.
No, I definitely agree with you. It's a fantastic book. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us and share some of your top tips and tricks, and of course the gifts that you are giving to the Summit viewers, and of course the bonus for the paid members. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Great. So everyone, do join us tomorrow as we continue with our panel of experts, and let's see what we get tomorrow. All right. Till then, bye.
Bye.